I'm Paddi Krause, the monitor guy for In Flames. We're currently in Germany, my home country, in Berlin, on the Battles tour. We're doing some special shows right now, which is the band and some additional strings. We have 2 violas, double bass, and a cello. And it's half like the usual setup and half acoustic setup. So we have a few additional instruments, a few additional in-ears, and the main thing, or my main job, is mixing the sound for all the guys on stage. I would like to show you what I'm doing, how I'm doing this, and why am I doing this. And the key thing for me, or the main part for me, is my mixing console. I just recently swapped to the new Avid S6L, mainly because we finally arrived in 2017, so it was about time to swap to a modern console after we used the Profile for, I don't know, 10 years or something. It's actually my 5th year with the band now, but they've been on the Profile ever since. The swap to this console is mainly because of its sound. The first time when I heard this console and the preamps, EQ, compression and whatnot, I was still pretty blown away, because this is a game changer now. It's so different from the Profile in terms of audio quality. It's super reliable. I mean, I didn't have any issues yet. The layout, just the way it works and how it's the thinking or the thought behind it is pretty great. It's super easy to understand. It's still the same, or kind of the same screen that we had on the Profile. So it's plug and play, basically. What I'm doing right now, or my setup on this console, is I think I have 65 inputs in total, 39 outputs or mixed buses that I'm using. For me, as a monitor guy and also taking care of the stage inputs and whatnot, it makes sense to me to have fader number 1 is my input number 1. I'm not really using the user layers yet, to keep it a little more simple and a little more logical for me. But I think it's always great having opportunities and options. And this console is kind of unlimited if it comes to mixing buses, inputs, routing options, user layouts, plugins and whatnot. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Yet no issues so far. Yeah, pretty great. It's a workhorse. I'm still using a Waves server 1, because there is a few bits and pieces or a few plugins that I don't want to miss. But I'm pretty excited and I'm pretty surprised how good the onboard stuff actually is. On the Profile, I used a TC electronic reverbs, the VSS3 for drums. I had Waves compressors and whatnot, and now it is actually kind of 90% on board. All my reverbs, all my delays for vocals, drums and whatnot, everything is on board. It's the usual or the regular reverb settings, which is great, because I like having everything in one unit, and this desk is finally the solution for me. The only reason why I'm using the Wave server is actually that I don't want to miss my API compressors, and we can have a quick look what I'm doing with my vocals and my vocal chain, because the first instance or the first plugin that I'm using is the Waves Max Volume. I think some audio guys would think it's kind of weird using a gate on the vocals, but for me, it keeps my signal pretty clean from drum bleed or guitars, PA noise, and whatnot. I'm using a little bit of compression on this. And the second instance, the second plugin I'm using, is the API compressor. I think that this compressor has a unique sound. It adds some color to the actual input signal that I don't want to miss. I don't know what's going on and how, but for me, it's just great. I don't want to miss that. But everything else is pretty much done in the console. And what is also very different from the Profile file, or the way how I set up my file on the Profile, is my EQing. If you have a look in this is my guitar channels, they're almost flat. And my bass channels are almost flat. The first 2 bass channels doesn't even have a low cut anymore, because the way this console actually glues everything together and reproduces the actual sound, it's awesome. You don't have to fuck around with weird shit, like the super nasty high end or whatnot. I'm not sure if this is because of like the 90K thing or just the way that the preamp works or the EQ. I think it's like the general thing, how everything is connected to each other, how the signal flow works, how the signal flow is designed. Yeah, it's great. I'm super happy with this. The way how I set up my file, as I said, is like pretty or fairly traditional. The first 24 channels are the first 24 channels that I have on stage. The next 24 channels are like my guitars and vocals and the backing tracks that we use and the communication. And on the third layer is all the additional stuff that we have now on this tour, like the string quartet we have, additional effect returns, and all this. The idea behind is pretty simple. Once we're done with this tour and not doing all the string stuff, I can just get rid of this layer, so to speak. Maybe I keep it, maybe they want to do something else, but you know, the first two layers, this is my main thing, the main thing I need for In Flames. Another thing, or another feature that I use heavily on the profiles and also on the S6Ls now is the snapshots. Pretty simple reason. There's so many things going on with the backing tracks that we use, which is like different levels or different noises, or sometimes I need a different compression or whatnot. I just put it in a snapshot. I have a few channels that are actually in the scope. This helps me a lot. So once they start a new song, I just hit the next snapshot. There's different levels for the in-ears. There's different levels for the side fills or different EQ, different compression and whatnot. There's quite a few other desks that are capable of doing that, but not as simple and not as awesome as in the Avid desk, period. Currently running 65 inputs, as I said. I have 39 outputs, which is a mix of wireless in-ears, hardwired in-ears, side fills, sometimes wedges. We don't have wedges on this tour now. It's a lot of effect return or effect sense and returns to give every instrument a little bit of room, like you would do it with snare drum, toms. I also do it for guitars to give them a little more space or a little more room in the mix. Sounds, it glues together a little bit better, I think. The key thing for us is actually, well, the key thing for achieving the best sound that we want to have is the actual instruments and the source, like the microphones. For us, it all starts with a proper drum set, which is a Pearl Masterclass and Pearl reference set. It's the microphones that we use, which is mainly Shure for the drum set and the wireless handheld. The main thing and the key for the drum sound is the tuning, which is this guy's part, the little hamster, Travis. He's our drum tech. So he is in charge for the tuning, the setup, and whatever Joe, our drummer, needs. As I said, we mainly use Shure microphones with KSM 32 for overheads. We have 3 of those. We have a Beta 181 for hi-hats and the ride. We have a 91 and a 52 in the kick drum, which is, I think, industry standard. We have the Beta 98 for the toms and a Beta 52 for the second floor tom, which gives us a little more like low end and whatnot metal sound. I think what is a bit different for us for In Flames is the 2 snare top microphones we have, which gives us a little more, well, we think it's the right balance between the top sound and the snare drum, the snare bottom sound, in terms of compression, EQing, and whatnot. So we compress the snare drum pretty hard, and it just feels right to us. It just feels that's the sound we want to have and the sound we would like to send to the audience and to the in-ears. The next step in sound, guitars, bass, starts on the stage right position where we have Fish, which is this little guy, stage right guitar tech. He takes care of Nicholas and Hakan, who's playing bass right now for us. This is the guitar rigs and bass rig we have. Toys for the big boys, high quality gear. Yeah, well, nothing much to talk about this, I think, because I don't really know what's going on in all these rigs. I don't know how the routing is. The only really important thing for me is the guitar caps, which we're hiding here. Because this is a little special for us. This little box here, it's called the Box of Doom, which is a Dutch manufacturer, Dutch company, is the key source for our guitar sounds. Because we don't have any stage noise on the guitar microphones, like drums, vocals, or PA noise or whatnot. B, we don't have any guitar sounds on stage because this is like super quiet once we close the top lid. We use SE Electronics microphones. It's the 2200 MK2. We use 2 of those, and the heavy-duty mic clamps. Main reason is that we can just tip and flip the case in the truck in cargo shipping and whatnot without being afraid that we break the speaker or whatnot because the microphones are flipping around or something like this. The main reason why we have 2 microphones is stereo width, stereo panorama. Mainly for Tom, so he flips the microphones like completely left and right and uses like input delays for his stereo panorama left-right thing. Yeah, now in stage left, same system, kind of the same guitar rig, just different amplifiers. Bjorn is on Marshall prototype heads. The rest is pretty similar to stage right, which is like the standard industry toys. Same microphones, kind of the same microphone position. This is the cap for the dirty sounds. Yeah, SE Electronics 2200, same thing. For the clean sounds, we have used a different cap. It's the same speaker, but different microphones. The reason why we do this is just because it sounds better with a different microphone. It's a different head, like a different guitar amp. And we can EQ the 2 channels differently. 2 microphones, again, same thing, left and right on the PA, input delay for the stereo panorama. It's not really that important for me on monitors because my stereo panorama works like the traditional way, just the left and right panorama knob. Because they have different like positions or different images of their own instruments. So the left-right thing and the input delay wouldn't really work for me on monitors.